Welcome to Remer's Show. This is the podcast where I interview entrepreneurs and mavericks who get shit done. Hey, what's up, my friend? So today we have Robin Ho on the show. So Robin is an ex-naval officer who left the Navy to become a stock trader. There are many interesting things about him as you'll hear shortly, but one thing that I want to share right now is that during the 2008 financial crisis, if you remember, that's where we have the Lehman Brothers collapse, Bear Stearns, collapse, and the whole world was pretty much, panicking with fear. During that time, right, Robin took $100,000 account and grew it into $2 million during that period. Crazy stuff, right? So if you want to connect with Robin, right, I'll put his social media profile links, right, in the description below. But for now, right, moving on, I want to give you an overview of the conversation, right, that I had with Robin. Number one, we talk about what's life like, right, as a naval officer in Singapore. Then we spoke about why did Robin decide to leave Navy, right, a comfortable, cushy job, right, for stock trading where, your earnings are a lot more unpredictable. Then he gave me a detailed overview of how the insiders, right, manipulate stocks to fool retail traders. We also talk about Robin's battle with stage 4 cancer, how he deals with it, how he handles it. And towards the end, we talk about religion as well, his religion, because this is where he gave him strength to battle with cancer. He shared his outlook in life and, more importantly, his purpose in life. So all this and more in today's conversation. Sounds good? Then go listen to it right now. All right, Robin, happy to have you on the show.
I'm glad to be here, Remer.
So excited to see you. So before I get started, I just want to say that honestly, I think because of cancer, we actually got closer together, which I think in case some of you are wondering why cancer, we will cover that later. So I think so far, the last few times we met, I think you've, given my father, right, inspiration, hope, right, that, it's not the end of the road. So I just want to say thank you and appreciate you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Robin, so kind of like, kick things off, right? Curious to hear. I think this is something that, I don't know, dig online cannot find any information, right? What kind of childhood do you have when you're growing up?
Okay, so I grew up in a kampong, right? In those days, around where you stay.
Where is it? Around here?
Geylang.
Oh, Geylang.
Down the road. And my school is just Cedar Primary, is just very close to where you're staying now.
The one here?
Yeah.
Or it's shifted?
No, it's shifted, but it's very near, right? And I used to walk every day from the kampong to my school, all right? Because we don't have enough money for the bus fare. So every day I would just walk, wake up very early, 5 a.m., walk from the kampong to the school. So that's the childhood, but it's really fun.
5 a.m. Is it because school starts earlier back then?
Yeah, 5 a.m. to get to eat food, breakfast, and settle down. And then, school starts 7:30 in those days.
Yeah. Sort of 5 a.m. is a bit early for 7:30.
So I wake up, breakfast, bathe, the kind of thing. And then once, get ready for school. Yeah.
So what kind of kid were you like in school?
What kind of kids?
A rascal, a gangster, a good boy.
So when I was in school, I'm not so bright. Okay, not so bright because I started off as a year-end kid. So year-end, I born in the year-end.
December.
Yeah, so I lost when I first start. I can feel it as a year-end kid. All right, that it's like, So when you're just starting school, right, and if you're a year-end kid, you make a lot of difference. Because you're short of 1 year. And I can't think we're young, right? Yeah, so I'm very lost and always very fearful. Okay. And then when I grew up a little older, basically I'm not interested in studies. And I'm a little bit they call it dyslexia.
Oh, dyslexic or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. So I cannot focus. It's like I cannot focus on a lesson for if anything that stretched for more than half an hour, I'll just lose my thoughts. Yeah, so I'm a little bit dyslexia. Okay, so that is why I can never sit down and listen to classroom lesson that lasts too long. Yeah, and that's why I never do well in school.
So when you say never do well, does it mean like you were like very average student, or you're like kind of failing your way through primary school?
Like an average student, but nothing outstanding.
Pass, but nothing else.
Yeah, just pass, nothing outstanding.
Okay. So then after Cedar Primary, you went to secondary school. How was it for you then?
So I went to secondary school. Of course, with my condition, I didn't do very well because I never liked to study. So I went to secondary school. And after secondary school, I decided to, join the Navy.
Okay, so during secondary school, just take a step back. How was it like for you? Was it, I don't know, still the same like primary school? Not interested, just scrape your way through? Same thing, is it?
Basically, yeah, same thing. I'm really not interested in study.
But you still managed to pass your papers lah.
Just blah.
Okay, what study or never study?
Never study lah.
So never study and pass is considered got some talent there lah.
Maybe lah. Maybe. So I decided, right, that after school, I went to poly for about a year. So the poly, the course is 3 years. So I dropped out on the first year.
What did you choose to study in the first year?
So I study, they call it the Merchant Navy. The course that qualify you to be an officer on the Merchant Navy.
So there's a polytechnic course that actually qualify you to be an officer in the Navy.
Yeah,
quite different from today, huh?
Correct. Very different. So I don't think they have such courses anymore. So in those days, you finish the course and they attach you to those merchant ships. You won't want to go there.
What's a merchant?
Merchant ship. So they will, attach you to a container ship or a cargo ship. Okay. And some bulk carriers. So if you're lucky, it's a container ship because it's cleaned. But if you're not so lucky, it's a bulk carrier, carry cargoes, carry soya beans, cocoa, the kind of thing, coal and the kind of thing. So that's a bit tough. All right. So we get attachments to those. But in those days, only gangsters join the Navy, Merchant Navy. Yeah. Because a lot of people don't get home. After a trip, they get thrown overseas. A lot of my friends, after a trip, we don't see them anymore.
From what I'm hearing is that a lot of people who take this course in polytechnic, a lot is all gangster lah. Is it?
They're like me lah. Don't like to study type lah.
But still at the same time one
adventure lah.
Kind of thing, adventure.
Yeah.
So maybe in your younger days, any sports that you play regularly or any adventurous things that you've done?
So so in my younger days, I loved to play soccer, but I don't have money to buy a pair of boots.
So your background is a bit your poor family. Huh? How do I classify you back then when you were?
So my dad is a sailor. So basically, I grew up in a single family home. I don't get to see him for months.
Single family means only your dad without your mom, or
without my dad. Okay. So my dad is sailing, so he sails for a long time. So only my mom's is look after us. Yeah. So so I pretty much grew up without a father.
And how often do you see him, right, when he sails?
So every time he sails, so in those days, you don't have like handphones, you don't have WhatsApp, that kind of thing, right? So in those days, we live in a kampong, all right? You don't have all those things. And the kampongs are all, people who live in the kampong are all ply the same trade. Okay, so when your dad don't come home for too long, we run out of money. And we run out of money, we got no food. So we have to go to coffee shops, market, and write IOUs. My mom will write IOUs, all right? And then wait for my dad to come back. And then my dad comes back, then he pays them. So we wait for him to come. We don't know when he will come back. So there are a lot of people in the kampong that don't come back because in those days, the ship are rusty and old. And then a lot of them, they break down in the middle of the sea. They sink in the middle of the sea, and a lot of people die. So I live in a kampong like that. You hear people don't come back. Fathers, their ship sink, and the family become fatherless, that kind of thing. So in those days, the sailor kampong has got a lot of widows. Yeah. So that's so we always, so my dad will tell every time he comes back, he'll say, okay, 3 months time, I'm going to come back. All right. So sometimes 4 months, 5 months. Because of rough sea, right? You cannot make it. So me and my mom, my mom will bring me to the Hainanese Shipping Association, because in those days, people who sail are normally Hainanese. Most of them are Hainanese, right? They're either cooks or they're ship engineers, all right? So we have to go to the association, and that's where we ask their friends, have you seen my dad around?
Wow, I can imagine the kind of anxiety, right? You're supposed to 3 months come back, then 4 months have to appear, 5 months.
Yeah. So those are the days we lived, and well, everybody in the kampung lives the same way.
And was your mom working at a point in time?
Okay, so my mom, we rear chicken, and we sell eggs at home.
So it's like a mini family business, your backyard real chicken.
Yeah, backyard real chicken. Just because there's not enough money that comes from my dad. And sometimes it doesn't come back, so we need the supplement.
But it's like rearing of chicken, is it enough to support the family or still not?
No, not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough. Yeah, just like side income.
Okay. At the point in time, was it common for kids your age maybe go out find jobs, get some extra pocket money, or it's just how was it like for kids?
So in those days, basically in those days without internet, right, we're all blur right? So all of us, my sister, me, we don't know what the outside world is all about. Not a clue. Today, kids are very intelligent. They are more intelligent than you because they have access to the digital world, right? YouTubes, TikTok, whatever. I mean, they know what's the current world issues. They know many, many things that we won't know when we were kids. Yeah. So when we were kids, we were, most kids are like that. I mean, they live in the world of their own. If it's a kampung, so it's a kampung world. All right. And most people in those days live in kampung because we have little flats, around. So basically your world is your house and the kampung around you. That's your world. And everything, your knowledge, all right, whatever knowledge, whatever you know, it's all there. Anything outside of that, you don't know.
Wow, what a very different world compared to...
But just fun. Really great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you say were some of the maybe formative moments that you had when you were younger?
Formative?
Yeah.
So in those days, when we live in a kampung, there's always a lot of fear. Because there's always a lot of gang fights. And kampungs are controlled by gangs. All right. And the gangs will come and collect protection money. Okay. So we need to give protection money to the gangs.
How much is it?
It's like, because they all know we're all poor. So it's like, in those days, $2.50, maybe something like that. Every month they come and collect. And then, because our house just built with plywoods, and the top is zinc. So because it's zinc, right, it's very hot. It's very hot. So it's like living in the oven. And then the walls are made of plywoods, very thin plywoods. So sometimes the gangs, when they fight, all right, they can even break through our house. Yeah. So sometimes, and then, when I wake up, I see blood all over. After a fight, you see blood, or you go outside, you see bottles. They kill themselves with bottles, parangs, knife, and then some dead bodies outside, that kind of thing. So those were the days, where, as a kid, I witnessed those things. All right? Yeah. So very fearful. But, you learn to accept that as the way of life. Because, so in those days, we will always play the kampung, right? Where all the houses were surround, so all the houses were surround, and our playground is in the middle of the houses, all right? And then when people shout that, get out, that means the gangs are coming.
Who's the one shouting?
The kids playing, so some of the kids are playing like on the other end, and they can see the gangster coming, and we all shout to one another, and we all run into the house. Yeah, and then we will peep from outside and see the gangs fighting. Yeah, the pranks, the knife, the head roll, that kind of thing. Yeah, so very gruesome. As a young kid, we see those things are very gruesome. Yeah. So if you have a gangster friend, right, your house is protected.
From other gangs.
Yeah, people don't come and extort your money.
So actually, one house could be extorted by multiple gangs?
No, normally one gang or two gangs until they get defeated. Then another gang will take over.
Oh. Take over means they
will take over that kampung. They will collect protection money until another gang come and throw them out.
Oh, so you all know ahead of time which gang you are under lah.
So we know because they are very familiar faces that come and collect money. All right. And when they are gone, they will say, the other gang is gone, so just be in charge now. Please pay me.
So when you pay them, what are you actually paying them for? Protection from what? Other gangs? From
just protection from other gangs. Basically protection from nothing. They just need money. You're paying them. Right? That's the excuse too.
So I'm trying to think of in terms of today's dollar, how much money is that worth in today's dollar?
Maybe in today's dollar, maybe about $50
a month.
Yeah.
Okay, not really a lot.
Yeah. So because there's so many families. So so you collect.
Oh, if I go to the whole HDB estate and collect.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, okay. So is there any maybe funny stories or mischievous moments that you did when you were young that kind of brings a smile to your face when you think about it? No.
Well, so in those days we live in life or mostly outdoors. So our swimming pools are the drains. Drains. Yeah, so those big drains are swimming pools. Yeah, longkang, yeah. So when we needed a place to swim, we were just, after the rain, tide is very high and we all jump in, we swim. All right. And the trees, we use the trees to swing high enough and then we drop down into the swimming pool, into the drains. Yeah. And in those days, your house don't have water. So you have to go outside, walk quite far. So me and my sisters, we would take turns to go get water. Yeah, and in those days, there is no flushing toilets. So I remember those days, yeah. No, so the guy that collect your fees, your shit, right? Yeah. The guy that collect shit, you all shit into a pail right below, right? You should, and then in the morning, late in the day, just people will come and just literally collect the shit
and clear it somewhere else.
Put it a new pill there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That must be a horrible job, man. Every day.
Yeah. Oh. Correct. So you guys, so my age, right? I enjoy it because I could see the transition of Singapore. All right, from very rural, very primitive to where we are now, very advanced. All right, very backward to first-class society. So, example is that, I transited from a handheld phone, without phone, to a handheld phone line, all right, telephone line, telephone, all right, you dial, all right, to the big handphones, all right, it's so big to what we have now. So, very interesting. Yeah. So in those days, so when I first started, maybe I shouldn't go to that. I was about to tell you that when I first started doing trading, can you imagine you don't have online? What do you do? Yeah. What do you do online? Or without online, what do you do, right? When you're doing trading. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah.
Okay. So now let's talk from your transition from, you mentioned you go poly, year one, you drop out, then you join the Navy. So maybe walk me through that stage of your life, what happened during that period?
So I left school. I finished my O-levels.
What was it back then? Same as now, 20 points, 25 points, that kind of system? Oh.
Yeah, something like that. So in those days, you need to, anything above 20, 20 over points, you cannot go to further studies, right? Further your study for O-levels to pre-U. Yeah.
How many points?
Pretty much the same. Pretty much the same. I think it's pretty much the same, about 20 over points. Okay.
You have 20 plus,
Yeah, 20 plus, I remember. So in those days, I got, my result was just good enough to get to Polytechnic. Just good enough. And to the gangster cost.
Merchantship.
The merchantship cost is always the gangster cost because there's a lot of Malaysians that come. Singaporeans, Singaporean kids, right? In those days, right? Nobody wants to be a seaman. All right. So you have a lot of foreigners sponsored by shipping companies like from Bangladesh, from India, from Malaysia that comes. Right. So you know what kind of, friends I have. They all come from different countries. Very, very, very few Singaporeans want to be interested in that. So I went, I got some experience. All right. Then I knew after I went on board for one training stint, I knew this is not for me.
What happened during the training stint that made you feel this is not for you?
Okay. So the training stint is like that.
Wait, this is like during your year 1 of your poly, is it?
No, it's on the year 2, you go for
Like internship, like that?
correct
Okay.
internship. Yeah. So you go, they assign you to the ships, right? Yeah. So in there, so you go to a rusty ships, okay, and in every cabin. So if you are seaman, right, you don't have a nice cabin. You get a rusty, rundown cabin, and in that cabin you have seamen like from Indonesia, like India. They're very rough. All right. You can leave the ship. All right. You can go in as most people go into the ship as a virgin, but they come out no more virgin. You get sodomized. Yeah. So I had a brief stink, and then when I saw that conditions, right, I said, no, this is not what I want. All right, it's too risky for me. All right, it's too risky for me. You get to travel quite a bit, but it's too risky. So I thought maybe I should just join the Singapore Navy, and that's how I started.
Since already Navy there, you thought natural transitions to Singapore Navy.
Yeah,
right? It's
to
a
the
lot
military
safer, I
Navy.
suppose. A lot
Correct.
safer.
To the military Navy, right? With that little qualification I get from the Merchant Ship Navy, I use it, right, to go into the Singapore Navy.
That's enough prerequisite for the Singapore Navy?
Yeah. So in those days, you only need the O level to be an officer.
Wow, O level.
Yeah,
Never heard
yeah,
of these days
officer.
anymore. No
Yeah,
chance.
no more.
Now O levels should be able to enroll, maybe not so high rank.
Yeah, cannot. Yeah.
Okay, so plus some experience plus O level, that was enough to be an officer. So you had the officer route that was provided for you?
Yeah. So when I joined, I had like in my cohorts, all right, so officer cadets, Navy officer cadet, they call them midshipmen. So in those days, we had midshipmen are supposed people cannot, go to the Air Force because Air Force has got very stringent physical requirements, right? So the very smart people or students that are supposed to go into NS, all right, if they're very smart and they cannot go to Air Force, normally they throw into the Navy. Yeah, and so one of my friend is Vivek Prakash. Vivek Prakash was one of my classmates. Yeah, so he was a scholar then, Yeah, he came in. He was also a midshipman. We graduated together. Yeah.
So what was the training process like to become a Navy officer? What were the things that you did?
Okay, so to train a naval officer, right? It's in those days it's a very long process, right? So the objective is to train you to command a ship, right? So it would take about 7 years.
7 years?
Yeah, before you take command.
Okay.
7 to 8 years, right? From the day you joined, all right, maybe even more, maybe 10 years. And I remember I meet the captain of a ship. So in those days, the ship are not like the one we have today, lah. Those days we are just patrol boats. We one gun. They're just patrol boats, nothing fancy. Yeah. So we were just doing anti-piracy and anti-smuggling. But in those days, it was real action. So you really go and catch those people, refugees, tow them out. All right, when we got to protect the Singapore coastlines. All right, so any refugee, we come in, we tow them out. All right, and then we go do anti-piracy patrols, that kind of thing. So I was like at I think about 7 years, 27. I made captain. I was made captain of a boat.
That was considered quite above average, right? Kind of.
Yeah. So I was like in the Navy. There are only in my batch, right? There were only a couple of people that gets a pensionable service. So in those days, right, if the Navy send you to like overseas, right, it's like never heard of. It's like a dream, right? So I was very fortunate. So I was sent to US to do anti-submarines. So I had a sting to like a submarine course in Germany. Although I never get to become a submariner, I did. I had a sting. So I studied in the US Naval Academy for like probably close to half a year. Yeah, then a couple of months in Germany. So that was a dream, right? That was a dream for any officer, because it's like when you're like you've done a course or graduate from overseas, when you come back, you're like big elite, like elite kind of thing, because nobody, it's very rare. So if you are like only the top few, all right, and then you get selected to those things. Yeah, so I did well. All right, I did well. One of the first few to get promoted and take command in my batch. Yeah, but then there are stories. Yeah, when I started, doing very well, and then I wanted to do trading. So I was trading then. All right, when I was in the Navy, I was doing a lot of trading.
How did you maybe?
And then I fell out.
You fell out, as in you fell out of Navy?
No, not fell out of Navy. So my career got affected. Okay. Yeah. So at that point of time, I remember because to be a pensionable service, your potential need to be at least a colonel. So I was like given a colonel, like, potential. Yeah. But then I started trading and not focusing on my work. I was like more interested in trading after, then in my military career, after a while, things get a little bit boring, and so I was introduced to trading in 1997 during the club days, club. Yeah.
What is club?
CLOB. Okay, so club, right? In case you guys all don't understand, a lot of people don't understand Singapore trading history. You do know at one time, because Singapore market was too small, all right? Malaysia market was also small, right? So Singapore government, so sort of, on their own, not without any approval, okay, they created a system in Singapore where they could trade like a dual trading system, so Malaysia share. All right. So if, say, public bank in Malaysia is traded there, Singapore had their own public bank listed here through their own system. Okay. And that's called CLOB. So in Singapore here, we had two markets. We had Singapore SGX market and we had the Malaysian markets. Okay. So in those days, right, the economic growth, China was closed, Vietnam was closed, Indonesia was not doing well. So the growth area was like Singapore, Malaysia. All right. So the investors were all here. And I tell you, right, a lot of people don't realize it. But let me just tell you that at one time, Singapore and Malaysia, all right, that when the market at its peak, the capitalizations was even higher than the US Wall Street. You don't believe it? That's how it works. Yeah, the capitalization, because a lot of stocks, right, will grow from, they went from like $1 to $20, $30, that kind of thing. Some go a few $100s. So very speculative market, and that's where I grew up. That was where I learned my trading. Yeah, yeah. So that's how it's all started off.
So you're doing that?
But I was still in the Navy then, and I was trading in that market.
And because the market is moving so wildly, that's how you learn of it and how you decided to learn more about trading because of the nature of that volatility period?
No. So in that very volatile stock market, something that, as a young man, I never witnessed it. It's like I can make a few $1,000s, a day, that kind of thing. And then, and I remember I started off with just 1 month's salary, which is $2,000, and I made $300,000.
Wow,
so in those days, $300,000 can just buy you off a big condominium. I could have retired, all right, there, and I remember I was only like 30. I could have retired because I had $300,000 profit in my pocket. I was trading. So in those days, you don't need a lot of money to do trading, right? So Singapore had this contra system, right? Yeah. So you buy and you pay up like maybe sometimes 2 weeks. It can drag as long as 2 weeks. So you don't need money to trade the system. So you just need enough money to pay the losses.
The losses is
The net of the trades. You pay the losses, you start again. Yeah. So in those days, that was very interesting because you had this contra phenomena that only exists in Singapore and Malaysia.
it still exists, right? The contra.
Today it still exists, but it has gone. The contra period has gone down from like 2 weeks to now maybe 5 days. Yeah, but it's no use. I mean, the market now is very quiet now. So even if you have contra facilities, you have no use of them because the market is not volatile enough for you to sort of make use of the contra system to make money. Because the market doesn't move, not like in those days, right? Yeah, in those days it was like, boy, maybe you come to your party if it's time to talk to you about
Trading, right?
trading in those days, right? It's very different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe just one last question about Navy before we can talk
Yeah.
about trading. So the Navy, you mentioned that after a while things got boring. That's why you do trading. So boring meaning what? Is it like your day-to-day life back then is very routine, very?
Yeah. So when I was on the ship, right, we were very operational, not a lot of time to trade. So it's like after I finished my command, so I became a captain of a petrol boat. And then I finished my petrol boat. Then I was like, from there, it's like once you have finished a command, normally the next thing you do is that they will send you to the HQ, right? So I went to HQ, and then it was like desk mount job, yeah. And right, and I don't see me, although I'm pensioned, right? I'm pensioned, and technically, I should, according to my CEP, I should hit colonel. All right, technically, all right, but I don't see myself, doing well there, right? Because about this in the Navy, or this culture about farmer. So I'm a farmer.
What's a farmer?
A farmer is you're a non-graduate. So I was a non-graduate.
But you're O levels, right?
Yeah, I'm old.
That can become an officer.
Yeah.
So graduate
Very
is-
few, yeah. So by the time a couple of years later, there were only graduates that can become officer. So imagine that I live in a world of all graduates.
Graduate means a uni graduate.
Yeah, uni graduate. So they come in. Only when you're a graduate can be officer. Yeah. So in those days, nobody wants to join the army. So the qualification is much lower. Yeah, the criteria is much lower. So I know I won't do well because the civil service is all about qualification. So you don't have a lot of qualification. So I start thinking out, right? Thinking out of the box. All right, about my future. Yeah. And the thing is that, and also I know that the Navy pay is not going to be enough for my family because I'm the sole breadwinner, 3 kids, all right, wife, 3 kids, and I've always had a maid because when you have 3 kids, you need a maid, all right? So I need to be supporting my mother-in-law. My wife is a single child, come from a single child family. So I need to support my mother-in-law. I need to support my mom. So if you count you have about 7 heads. 7 heads, all right, to support sole breadwinner, all right? Everybody is eating. Nobody is contributing, okay? So with that, I was thinking there's not enough to go around, and I decided that I should learn how to trade. And it works.
Any reason why your wife wasn't working at that point in time?
Because I was making enough all the time.
From the Navy?
No, so the Navy and trading.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
previously she was working, but once you were making enough.
Yeah, she was a teacher there.
I see.
Yeah. So then I told her, actually, there's no need for her to work because I'm bringing enough money.
Oh, that's music to her ears. I can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was very fearful, actually. I thought, but, things work out well.
Okay, so let's maybe talk about, you mentioned earlier that from 2K to 300K. So how did it grow from 2K to 300K?
Okay, so in those days, right, trading, right, so when I first started trading, I'm very new to trading. All right, so I don't have any idea what trading is all about. I don't have any trading skills. all I know is that when I look at the market, it doesn't come down. Like the US market today, it doesn't come. Every day is going up. All right. So when every day is going up, so what I had was only guts. So I had a lot of guts. All right. So I keep rolling the 2000. So the 2000, I get a limit of like 50,000.
That's 25x, almost 25 left.
Yeah. So a contra, because I had a government job and, the kind of thing. So I have a house, I have a government job. So
they let you buy up to $50,000 worth of shares lah, with a $2,000 cash in account.
Correct. 50,000. So I always buy 50K. So I keep rolling the 50K. All right. But I also know what stocks to buy. I buy those very speculative ones. All right. And then, I keep, because remember we had two weeks contract period.
Yeah.
All right. So every time I roll to the maximum, and 80% of the chance you make money.
Because it's a bull market.
Yeah, it's a bull market. Yeah. So you just hold. You don't have to see charts, nothing. No charts required. All right. All you need is, guts. All right. You need guts. Okay. You don't need a lot of brains. You need guts. Okay. So you need guts and you need to leverage. So you just keep rolling and rolling and rolling. Every time your contract period is up, you sell and quickly buy back again.
You sell and quickly buy. So if you make money, you just take the money.
So if you lose money,
then you pay up.
You pay up the losses.
Okay.
Then you roll the position again.
Okay.
Yeah. Just keep rolling. So I rolled for like 1 year. And my $2,000 became 300,000.
Wow. Was that 1 year like a solid bull?
Yeah. And then we have, of course, the clock came to an end, right? Because the Malaysian government never recognized the clock. Singapore wanted business, right? And they had their own system, right? It's like a duplicate of the Malaysian stocks. Okay, and so what happened was that Mahathir came, the Prime Minister then of Malaysia, declared that the clock's illegal. All right, so every trade's there. So in those days, a lot of people went bankrupt right because of that. So overnight, my position crashed. Yeah, my position crashed, and I had a lot of positions because when I had $300,000, I was not leveraging to 50K anymore. When I had 300,000, I was leveraging to the millions. All right, to the millions. And whatever I make in the 12 months, right, $300,000, in 2 weeks, I lost $500,000. So I was in debt for 200,000. All right, and 200,000. So that was where I, nearly got bankrupt. Yeah.
So maybe before we talk about the debt, right, I just want to understand better the club system. So am I hearing right is that Singapore club system basically replicate the shares that is trading in Malaysia?
Correct.
Just that instead of trading directly on the Malaysia exchange, you trade on the Singapore exchange.
Correct.
So it's kind of like mimicking what the prices in Malaysia are like.
Yeah. So whatever prices here, all right, in Singapore, a Malaysian stock trading in Singapore follows the movement of the Malaysian stocks trading on the KLCI.
But you're not trading on the KLCI, but just in Singapore lah.
Correct.
So it's like a, how do you call it?
You set up a bucket shop lah. Yeah, it's a bucket shop lah.
It's not basically just to churn more revenue for SGX, more
Correct.
fees for them to earn from.
It's a bucket shop.
And Mahathir says he don't want that. He don't want Singapore to do
He
that.
always say he don't want that, but we never take heed. And then he came down with the hammer.
Then no choice, you have to stop
then
it
all
now. Okay. So now $200,000 in debt. What's the thought process in your head at that point?
Okay, so that was where I was like totally devastated. So in those days, like 20, 30 years back, 200,000 is a lot. It's like I just lost a condominium, and I had debts. So, but my salary as a captain then, I was just a captain then.
You're still in the Navy at that point?
Still in the Navy, yeah.
Trading so huge and still in the Navy.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had like, my pay was, I remember, about $3,000. So I took those very high loans, high interest loans, and like 9%, 10% a year, that kind of thing. And then every month I just service the interest. I never had money to pay the capital. So it's like a loan shark. So I just keep paying and waiting for the right time. Right. And then my opportunity came. All right. And my opportunity came. I traded again. At that time, the market, even without clock, is quite vibrant. It's quite vibrant because, in those days, the market are very much controlled by syndicates. So if you know a syndicated stock or you trade the right one, you can be rich. So that's what I did.
What is a syndicated stock?
A syndicated stock is a stock that where the syndicate will first, before they buy it, they will start collecting it. All right. And they will go to the owners and say, hey, please, I'm going to ram your stock out very soon. All right? You must cooperate with me. So they will start absorbing the liquidity from the market first. But they need a story also, right? So they always will play on a story. For example, like a story like, this company is going to get a big contract, all right? The kind of big contract, and for example, some of these palm oil stocks, very popular, they will say, this palm oil, by acres and acres, all right? Can you imagine how much revenue it can bring in the future, right? So in those days, the syndicate will play up stories, okay? And a lot of these stories actually come true, okay? And they will ram the stocks up. Right? And they all have a target. So when it hits that target, they'll start distributing. Okay? They'll distribute their stocks. And if you are a little unfortunate, don't know what you're doing, you catch the baby on the top. And when you catch the baby on the top, and the syndicate is left, and then the stock will crash. So the process go on and on. It's just called syndicated stock. The syndicate, like I said, always have a story. And then with that story, they ram the stock up. But before that, they already buy. So it's like a typhoon, it just sucks everybody in, So investors are like that. Traders is just like that. When the stock don't move, nobody want to buy. When it start moving, you don't have to tell people to buy. They will know what to buy. They will just keep buying and buying and buying and buying until the last man or in the bandwagon. All right, if you're last man in the bandwagon, you don't get out. Then you fall to cliff.
So the syndicate is a group of people, I suppose?
Yeah, they are a group of people that are very, very rich.
Do they know each other, I'm guessing?
Of course. Yeah.
So they coordinate all these efforts.
You probably heard of
Blue Mon and stuff back then.
Blue Mon, that syndicate called John. Yeah, John.
Yeah, the few.
Yeah, so they were the last of the syndicates, but they were like that. Yeah, they were like that.
So you basically need money to do this.
Correct. So you need money. You need to talk to the owner. So if you are, like, for example, if you own a company listed, all right, and I'll talk to you. I say, Remer, I'm going to ramp up your stocks. All right. When I ramp up, please don't sell. Okay? Yeah, please don't sell. Please give me some stories to ramp up. So you give me some stories. All right. And then what I do is that I seek the liquidity for the market. Okay. And I'll buy as much as possible. So when there's not enough liquidity in the market, the stock price now
it's easier to push up, basically.
It's very easy to push. All right. And then we push up very, very high. And from when it's very high. So the thing about stock market is that, when prices of stock go higher, you will attract more people. All right. So when more people get in, that's where the syndicate will distribute. I think these things still happening today in America, everywhere. This is what we call syndicate trades. It's everywhere. All right. Just that they are not, they do it probably the legal way. All right. They do it the legal way, but the process is the same.
Yeah, I was actually speaking to this guy on a trading podcast recently, very similar to what you're saying. For example, companies that want to issue more shares, right? Share price low, so they get this group of people to push their share price up to sell shares at a higher price after the stock price collapse.
Correct. You see a lot of this kind of phenomena in Hong Kong. A lot of them.
So as you're saying, the syndicate stocks. So how do you then make use of these syndicate stocks to make your money back from trading?
So if you know the syndicates. Okay, and if you have the privilege or fortune to know some of the syndicates, people that the syndicate used, like remisers. So a syndicate, when they push a stock up, right, they need remisers. They need stockbrokers. So they rope in a group of stockbrokers, and then the stockbrokers will be like, like a round circle. Okay, remember we got 20 days, right? Like 2 weeks, right? For contra, right? So the first remiser will buy it. By the time I reach the next remiser, it's time to contra off and start rolling the stocks again. So the syndicate also don't have like unlimited money to support the stocks. So they keep rolling the stocks within a group of remisers that they recruit. So they keep rolling, times up, contra period, one pass to another, about the same, right? So, and that is to support the price and prevent the price from falling. And at the right time, they'll push it higher, and then they'll support it at a certain level, push it higher again. Yeah, until the last man comes in and grab it, then time for them to let go. They'll let go.
So you mentioned that the remiser pass on from one to another. Could you maybe explain the part where they pass on from one remiser to another?
So okay, very simple. All right. So in those days, I mean, they're not around anymore. I happen to sit with a couple of friends, and they are part of the syndicates, and I see how they operate. I'm not part of it, but they are, and I know how they operate. All right, because they all sit next to me. Right? And then every day I see the order. So like, for example, I give you an example, right? So say you and I are part of syndicates. We operate from the syndicates, okay? So today, 1 week ago, I bought 2 million worth of the stock. And now it's end of contract period. I need to sell it. But I cannot sell to anybody. I need to sell it to you, who is part of the syndicate. Because we are all the same family, right? So what I'll do is that I'll tell that you, Remer, okay, today, I'm going to sell it. And I have placed my order at these levels. Okay? So what that guy does is that he needs to take over you, right, to roll it. So it cannot fall into somebody else's hand, right? So what happens is that, like, maybe early morning when nobody is looking, right, they will just do a merit trade.
Okay.
Yeah, they can do a merit trade. Or when the market is very quiet and they see that they see the queue up, right? Not a lot of people queuing. When just the queue, there's very thin number of people in between. All right, and they will say, okay, I'm there. I'm at $2. So the price is now maybe at $1.90. I'm at $2. So quickly go and grab it. So he goes and he grabs all the $2, that kind of thing. Or they do a merit, like before the market open, they
just square off with each other.
Square off in. So I take over you, that kind of thing.
Yeah, okay.
But merit is too obvious. All right. So you marry too many times to the same people, then you catch attention. So most time they try to do on the market.
So let's say earlier it was at $1.90, then $2 the guy waiting. So you push the price $1.90 to $2 and
very quickly they'll do it. You cannot wait. All right, you cannot wait, because if you wait, a lot of other buyers and sellers come in and complicate things.
Yes.
So you got to do like lightning speed and just go zoop. From $1.90, go to $2. And nobody gets it except your friends. You're just taking over, like, change hand lah. Yeah, change your guts.
So the syndicate, they control, they don't use cash upfront and buy all the shares.
Well, they of course, they have some money, all right? Their money really is to lock up the liquidity. Right? You need to lock up a minimum number of shares in order to operate them. Yeah. To control. You need to have positive control over the stocks.
And then, of course, they have to know not all stocks. Some stocks which market cap too big, they cannot play. It's too big for them. So, got to be certain size within their limit.
So those stocks that the syndicate choose, right, are normally very low liquidity. All right, the market float is not a lot, and most stocks probably is the owner's hand, in the shareholder's hand, substantial shareholder hand. So the market float is not a lot. So they always choose market float, those stocks with very little market float. So they will never operate a stock like Singtel. They will not operate a stock like DBS. Never, because they cannot control it.
Right. So once you know, let's say that the guy beside you is, doing these stocks which are syndicated. So how do you then trade those stocks?
Okay, so the best way to make money is to trade syndicated stocks. All right, because they are the one that should win. But you need to know how to get out. So if you know how the syndicate operate, you know when to get out. So you know when they already made their money and they're going to run away. Right? So I was like, I knew how to do it. And that's why I made quite a bit of money from it. Yeah.
But I'm sure they won't tell you, hey, Robin, we're going to exit all this price. So
no.
how do you then know when
I
to
see
get
from
out?
the price action.
Or from just where charts comes into
Yeah,
play.
that's where the chart comes in. Right.
Okay.
So the syndicate operation, right, the price action are normally quite similar.
Yeah, sure. Tell me more. What do you look for back then when try
Okay,
to exit
so the price action, right, for a syndicated stock is, for example, let's talk about accumulation. So when a syndicate is accumulating a stocks, they don't want anybody to know because the operation haven't started. So occasionally they will try to whack the stocks down if they are accumulating. People panic, sell to them. Or they create a story to bring the stock. So the idea is that they want to accumulate as much as possible before the operation starts. So after they've accumulated enough, they will start ramming the stocks. So initial phase of ramming stocks, right, is they will ram the stock up, all right, and they hold it there. And then a lot of people were looking at it and people saying, oh, gain confidence, right? They'll gain confidence, say, oh, this is a good stock, it's going up. And after it goes up, it stays there, it never come down. So they'll wait for a while for all the contract players to be out, and then they'll ram to another level and another level, all right? Just how it goes. Okay, until such times, so they have a target, they have the news flow, they maybe reduce the news flow, and then when the prices hits their target, they take their profit and they're gone.
And when would you know that?
Okay, you're right. So when these guys are accumulating, right, you will see that there is a base price. It hits a certain level, it doesn't go up, and then sometimes you will see spikes in volumes, right? Spikes in volume because the syndicate. In order to collect, I need to churn the volumes, right? Yeah, if I don't churn the volume is very thin, I cannot collect. Right, so I need to create some stories, churn the volumes. So they will churn the volumes, and so syndicators stock are like once in a while you spike up, and then you spike down, spike up, but it doesn't go anywhere.
So it's kind of like in a range. Maybe
the volume is the best. Yeah, the best. All right, to see. So it's like a stock has been quiet, and all of a sudden there's a lot of volatility, but it's not moving anywhere yet. All right, if you look at Tesla stocks, it's like that. Before we moved Tesla at like 200, 300, it's like that. All right, it's like a lot of volatility up and down,
But the price just within the range.
Just within the range. Then after the syndicate collected enough, the Tesla stock just flew. Right. So how do you know that they're out? Right. So every time when the syndicate moves their stock up, right? Okay, it's always with volumes. But after a while, right, because they are all controlled, all locked up already, the volumes get thinner and thinner. Right. So in those days, when they first starting, right, they will need a lot of volumes to move. But after they collect enough, they're in positive control, right? They won't need a lot of money to bring it to a next higher level, right? And then when they are ready to distribute, then you see volume spikes again. So they'll start, creating interest so that people will now start paying attention. How come, it's so volatile, everyone has to get into play, all right? It goes up and down, up and down. And then if you observe that the volume is like a lot of churning and it's a lot of volumes, okay, but the prices is not moving anywhere, yeah, then they start crashing down. So if you see stocks like Blue Mon, Line Go or something like that, they all when they were there, when the prices they were about to distribute, they all look the same. It doesn't go anywhere. A lot of volume doesn't go anywhere. So that is that. So it still applies today. The stocks that you trade, all right, primarily in US, you can see it. So a lot of churning, but it's not moving. It means the syndicate is about to leave.
That's an amazing insight, man, Robin. I've traded for like more than 10 years, but it's something that hasn't occurred to me. Yeah, rarely see this in books. I think I never read so many books, but nobody talks about what you just shared. Yeah. Okay, so you also mentioned that you were a remiser. So I for the longest time, I can't quite seem to differentiate. What's the difference between remiser and a broker? Is it just a terminology?
Okay, so when I joined, I joined from Navy. I quitted the Navy in 2002. All right, I quitted the Navy. I was on pension, so I just took a little bit, all right, of money. So basically, I forgo the pension. All right. So most people, when you are like a major, right, So I was a major then already. So when you're a senior officer, right, you don't want to leave because civil service works like that, right? The more you stay, by seniority, and then your gratuity or your pension always calculated by last round pay, right? So I really built my career there for 23 years, right? So those are the time nobody will leave on, all right? Because people just want to hang on until they get the pot of gold, right? And then retire, right? So I was like that, but I wanted to explore the world out there. All right. I wanted to give myself a chance, right? To see if I had that talent, right, to make it out in the second career. And I look around and I thought maybe trading is probably the closest alternative, right? If I were to take another trade, another occupation, another trade, I have to relearn again. So trading was I like it. And I thought it was easy to pick up. So, and without going to any formal 2-3 years courses, it's just, so I could just go into it. So I chose trading. So I know that when I get out from the Navy, right, without any contacts, to become a stockbroker. So a stockbroker and a remiser, they are the same. All right. Whether you call them a stockbroker or remiser. So in those days, the reason why I joined the stockbroking business is because commission is very thin. It's very low. So in those days, they charge 0.5, 1%. When you're trading, right, the commission is between 0.5 to 1%. Right? It's very high. But when you become a stockbroker, right, your trading commission comes down. So that is the reason why I joined. Because at that point of time, when I left the Navy, I don't have any clients. I got no clients. I have to depend on myself for trading to make a living. So with that golden handshake, they call it, the Navy give us a token when you leave before your pension. So I had about $200,000. Right. In those days, I have $200,000. I forgot my pension. I just took that good token, $200K. 23 years I spent there for $200,000. That's my life. Right. And then I used that $200 to trade. And I was happy that I was able to make ends meet with the $200K. I was able to bring my Navy's pay back every month with the $200,000.
So at that point in time, have you already repaid back that 200K debt already? Or
yeah, it's already gone.
Also, you repaid the debt while you were in the Navy.
Correct.
So that syndicated trading also happened while you were in the Navy.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So I understand the timeline now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was lucky. I traded my way out to pay my debts.
Okay. But when you were let's say you were being aware of those syndicated stocks in your Navy, how do you then know these stocks are kind of part of a syndicate? Since I don't know, you at that point in time you in the Navy.
Oh, because I information. I have many Navy friends that left the Navy and they were brokers.
Okay.
And we were good friends. And then they always will give me, tell me, which stocks are syndicated and all that. Yeah. So I depended a lot on them.
They kind of inspire you to take that step also, since you're really from the Navy, then become broker.
Correct.
Then
so I saw all of them, they're doing so well. Yeah. And they're all trading and doing so well. So I thought, maybe it's time for me to go.
What did your wife say when you made such a big decision?
So my wife she asked me you have to think, you have 7 mouths to feed, all right? And you have no skills. Because, the military skills is of very little value outside, in the outside world. So, unless I go drive, in those days, there are no Grabs, maybe. Yeah. So my wife said, you have 7 mouths to feed, you have to think. And you're already 40. And how can you leave? You're totally irresponsible. So my wife said, you're totally irresponsible to leave like this. And you don't even know what the world out there is waiting for you. All right. Because the trading world, now that you become a professional trader, the trading world is very new. You don't know whether you work or not. And you're risking, a very stable income in the Navy. So basically, I just burned the bridge. And I said, okay, let's go. Well, there are stories. So remember, I had $200,000.
From the golden handshake?
Yeah, for the golden handshake. Yeah, so I had $200,000. And that $200,000 lasted me 3 years. And And then I remember at the end of 3 years, I was only left with 30,000. And I look back, 30,000 can only last me about 3 to 4 months because nobody's working. So it's like, boy, after 23 years, 3 to 4 months, I only had money to last 3 to 4 months. Yeah. So, and then things happened again. Yeah.
So from that $200,000 down to $30,000, was it like trading losses or just expenses that occurred?
Yeah. So in those days, so I was very new to trading, remember? So I came out, I took a step of faith. I went into trading and I was actually learning. And I paid the price to learn. Yeah. So I was learning in that 3 years. I was learning about trading, and and also I was like, so of the $200,000, $100,000 was I built a scam for $100,000. Yeah, from a good friend of mine. All right. So in those days, they bring the IPOs in. All right. And then I remember there's a stock called Idris Hydraulics. All right. That, during the COP days, they died. All right. They were delisted and they were going to be listed again. A very famous name. When they're listed again, they're going to be like come in a new form of business like insurance. So one of my friends brought this to me and he said, this is a very good IPO. Very hot, man. It comes in very hot. So I put $100,000 in because I trusted that guy. And he said, sure, make. All right. So I trusted my friend. And I walked into a scam. And on the first day of listing, right, these hydraulics, my $100,000 was only left with 30K because on the first day, it already dropped 70%. Yeah. So I knew it's gone. So I just cut loss. Yeah.
That's the fastest 70K gone in of hours.
So that's where my money started depleting very fast.
But was it like your friend purposely want to scam you, or he himself wasn't aware that it's going to be like that?
No, it was a scam. I knew it was a scam. After that, I knew because they all got out before, even before the trading started.
Wow.
So I was the only one left with all my friends. So I lost a lot of friends there because I told a lot of my friends they also got in. Yeah, so there I lost a lot of friends because they also thought that I scammed them. Yeah.
So I guess the guy no more friend here. I don't recommend you the stock.
Yeah, they made their money and they are gone. Yeah.
Okay. I guess they burn bridges as well. Okay, so earlier you mentioned that you had no clients right at the start of your remising business. So how did things then get started for you?
Yeah, so I traded. All right. So I remember I was in Kim Eng. My first company that I joined was in Kim Eng. So remember I said I was left with $30,000?
Yeah, exactly.
So I went to the boss, the Kim Eng boss, and I told him my problem. Right. So his name is called Ong Seng Yi, right? So, Mr. Ong, he's a CEO then. And I said, hey, Seng Yi, I'm down to the last $30,000. I cannot last very long. All right. So I only went to him and asked him to reduce my trading commission so that I can save some money because I still had to trade, right? But he was very kind. He gave me, he signed a check and gave me $30,000.
Wow.
Yeah, good guy.
You asked for cut in commission, he give you money.
Yeah, he said, I cannot cut commission. If I cut your commission, I got to keep all the remisers' commission.
Okay.
I cannot do that. All right. But he said, Robin, I like you. I think you had the potential to be a good stockbroker and trader. Right. And then he said, okay, I have confidence in you. I give you $30,000.
Give or he loan you?
No, give. Give, yeah.
That's wow. Okay.
Yeah, give. Because I contributed a lot. Okay, yeah. And then what really made me is somehow God is always looking after me. So in those days, Philip and Kim Eng had a fight. All right, they were like exchanging remiser. Philip was taking Kim Eng's remiser. Kim Eng was taking poaching remiser. So I happened to be shortlisted as one of those guys that Philip wanted to take, poaching. So they pay a fees. I cannot disclose the fees. So I got
they pay you a fee or they pay Kim Eng a fee?
Yeah. For me to go over from Kim Eng to Philip, it's like it's a transfer fees.
Okay, so Philip will pay you a fee, like
correct.
A football player transfer.
Correct. Yeah. So Philip paid me a fees and I went. And then I had wow, another, big, large capital to start off again. And that's where I started growing that $200,000 into a few $1 million. And it was on the newspapers. All right. My story is the newspapers. All right. How I grew that $200,000, right? Or $100,000, right? Into $2 million. All right. In the bull run in, I think, 2005, 2006. Yeah.
So what's the benefit of Philip, paying you a lump sum of money to come over? I'm guessing it's because if you to trade enough volume, the commission, you'll more than make up for the fee that they pay.
Correct. So they saw my records, my trading records, and they believe that, I will repay them in no time. And true enough, like just a couple of years, I already paid them. Yeah. Just, sometimes my one-time commission can come out to 300,000. Yeah. It's on record. Yeah. My one-time commission can come like $100,000. My trading.
Is it because last time commission is based on percentage of the stock that you buy, like 0.5%?
Correct.
Not like a fixed $20?
No.
Okay, so if you trade large volume, then naturally your cost will be high.
Correct. So my own commission is quite high. And then at that point of time, I had a few big punters that, will trade with me, and they also contributed a lot. Okay. So that's how I made to be one of the top brokers in Philips.
So how do you then go from, a losing trader, you lost a lot of money, then from then on turn things around and, start making money from the market?
Yeah. So what happens is that after all that I've learned, all right, starting from, in the Navy day, winning $300,000 and then having lost $500,000 and then living with a debt for a couple of years, paying my debts in $200,000 debts. So that was so that was, I learned a lot of things from there. And then after I paid my debts, right, I started to learn how to trade. All right. I follow a system and I understand how a syndicate works, because in those days, syndicated stocks are the best to make money. So I only focus on syndicated stocks. So two things make me very rich. All right. Is first, I focus on syndicated stock, and I made a lot of money from syndicated stocks. Second is that when, in the year 2005, 2006, that was when a lot of Chinese IPOs came.
Oh, yeah, I remember about China, Hong Kong, China Sport. I remember also.
Yeah, so that's where, a lot of Chinese IPO came. Right. So what made me rich was then I knew that all these Chinese IPO that came to Singapore, they were not blue chips. They were third, fourth liners. They could not go anywhere. They all came to Singapore. And the Singapore investors that got in, they're all suckers. Like me. Right. Eventually, they are all going to zero. And it was true enough. So what I did was, how I made $2 million was I shorted all the Chinese stocks. Anything that goes from $1 to 3 to 4 to 10, I start shorting them. Yeah, I start shorting them. And just with $100,000, all right, capital, in like about a year, I made $2 million.
That's crazy. That's how many X is that? 20X?
Yeah. Yeah. And that was easily the best funds in the world at that point of time.
That was the 05 to 07 period, isn't it?
Correct. Something around that period. Yeah. Exact. Yeah, I forgot. But it's around, because I joined Philips in like 2006. Okay. So maybe 07, 08, something like that.
That was during the Lehman Brothers collapse. That period, the very...
Correct. So the period market crashed.
Okay.
And when the market crashed...
So you're shorting all the...
So I was only shorting China stocks.
Only China stocks.
Only China stocks. Because I know they're all scams. Okay. And I also know they're all very syndicated.
Then plus the macroeconomic conditions not good at that point in time.
So I knew they're all going to zero. A lot of them are going to zero. Yeah. So I shorted all.
Do you have no problem, borrowing these stocks to short?
Yeah. So I was very fortunate, because if I had been in Kim Eng, all right, we didn't have these CFD facilities where you can short your stocks. You can borrow the script and short the stocks. Right. So Kim Eng didn't have it. So the timing was just right. And when I shifted to Philips had that CFD facilities.
You're one of the pioneers.
Correct. I was one of the pioneers. And a lot of people don't know how to use it. But I saw the opportunity there. I took advantage of it. Instead of trading up, trade down. Right? And, if you look at Singapore stock market, if you believe in the market going down, I think the chances are most of the times I'm not talking about blue chips, I'm talking about like big caps, small caps. They all normally lose about 70-80%. This is a sure way of losing your health, your wealth. Yeah, all the IPOs are basically scams.
So while you know that you want to short those Chinese stocks. So what were you looking for in the charts to get an entry to short these stocks?
Yeah, so they're quite easy, right? So syndicated stocks, right? The easiest way, right, to recognize a syndicated stock is volumes. So your volume theory, right, strategy, right, needs to be very good. So when there's a lot of churning, all right, on the top, and then it's like a lot of clouds, right? There's a lot of volumes, a lot of clouds. And then when the stocks fall below that cloud, which is you having a lot of volume sitting on top of you, like elephants sitting on you. So I always tell people to figure like this, like elephants sitting on you. So when the volume is all on top of you, right, there's an elephant there. It's not going to get up there too easily, right? So when it falls, syndicator fall, and then you know the right time, you just have a short. And you see, I don't trade a lot. It's like I don't get in and out too much. All right. But when I short, right, I bite it. It's like just follow the trend. So a lot of the stocks I shorted, right, it's like they all go to almost zero.
So that's about 80-90%.
Correct.
Right down.
Yeah, right all the way down. Yeah.
So I'm imagining this, like based on what you just shared, is like distribution. So probably the stock, a lot of volume in its range, let's say between $2 and $3, just doesn't go up, doesn't go down, but huge volume. I'm guessing the syndicated unloading.
Yeah, right.
The more it breaks below support, I'm guessing that's where you can take a shot and ride it all the way down.
Yeah. So like I said, volume, very important.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Good perspective. So, okay, I'd like to hear maybe about the remising business, right? Like I mean, trader, people understand like buy and sell, make money, but remising is where they also have another source of income where people trade. You also get to earn a cut of the business. So how did your remising business then grow from there?
Okay, so I started off as a trader. So I mean, for many years, I don't have any clients, right? So when I became very popular, I was on the headlines in the Chinese newspaper. How a remiser turned from losses to making $2 million. So overnight, I was like, my popularity in Singapore shot up. All right. Because in those days, this kind of story were hard to come by. Okay. So I get a lot of calls, and then I started thinking, maybe I should teach people how to trade. So I started a course. So I was like, in those days, pioneer, right? I started a course. In those days, you don't have those Facebook and all that to advert. So we advert on newspapers. So I always put like a small column on the newspapers, classified ads.
Okay.
And I said, if you want to learn how to trade, right, you can call me. All right. I have a trading course. It's like the phone is non-stop ringing.
Wow.
Yeah. It's non-stop ringing. So I was like, my classes are always full. So the classroom is maximum 40 people. It's always full. Every class is full. All right. So that's how I started my education career. Yeah. I started my education career. It was doing very, very well. And then I did it for a couple of years. And now I've not done it already.
What year were you doing these classified ads?
Like 2006, 07.
I think way before Facebook took the world by storm.
They don't have that. Yeah, in those days, Facebook was just like IPO. Maybe nobody knows anything about Facebook.
I think now today you do classified, no phone call is going to ring.
No, yeah, correct. So in those days, you put like $50 to $100 on the ads and make it a big
$50 or $100 can buy ad on those days.
Yeah, an ad. So in those days, whatever you need, right? Whether you want to sell a house, you want to find a job, it's all in the classified ads.
For like $100 can get a small square on classified
correct.
ads. Then people actually do read through it. Trading course learn. Then people sign up.
Correct.
Oh,
so in those days, not a lot of people know how to trade. All right, know about trading. So very, very new Singapore. But today, you go to everywhere. I'm like you, all right. You're all over the social media. All right. So I cannot compete with a lot of you who are very good in social media, and I'm those days dinosaur days trader type. So I gave up. So I seldom even teach nowadays. Yeah.
Am I right to say you're probably one of the had the first mover advantage in the education space of
That's
trading.
right.
I don't think anyone was like as early as you, like 06 or 07.
Correct. Even Adam Khoo was not there yet. I was like the first mover.
Pioneer, okay.
Yeah.
Nice, okay. So we covered quite a bit, all right. Okay, I think this was interesting. So how do you then, I think let's talk about 2008 financial crisis. I think maybe talk about the news one first. How do you get featured in the news? Was it because word of mouth and Philips then reach the news outlet and they feature you? How did that even come about?
Yeah, so I was in the news for many times. So after I got shot to fame, in that newspaper front page newspaper article, all right, it created a lot of interest. So a lot of people come look for me. All right, so I get interviewed. I have articles on Business Times, Borneo Times. So I get invited, to this region to speak about trading. All right. And then SGX sort of engaged me as one of their trainer. And so that's where things begin to bloom. All right. So I was a trainer. So at a point of time, the boss, Lim Watong of Philips, right? So he's like the brother of the boss, right? He was running a prop desk. And his traders, he wanted to improve the skill of his traders. So he approached me and he said, "Hey, Robin, you're one of the best traders in Philips. All right. Can you impart your skills to my full-time traders?" So I started a class there to train all the full-time traders. All right. And then I had that honor and opportunity. All right. After I finished, trading full-time traders. So a lot of people know, hey, this guy is just not training newbies. He's trading full-time traders. All right. And then SGX got to me and said, "Hey, Robin, can you start a class to train all the full-time traders in Singapore?" So I went from broking houses to broking houses, starting with Philips. So we trained about 60, 70 people, full-time traders. We log in and we trade live, the kind of thing. So something that they don't get to learn even as full-time traders. So I trained prop traders. Even Philips prop traders were all in my class. Right. So the professional traders, they were all in my class. I taught them how to trade. Okay. And then when that became very popular, SGI decided that, okay, we should move to other houses. So we went to GKCO, we went to DBS. All right. So I was training full-time traders. So I was not just training newbies. So training newbies is easy. You just tell them a few, very basic technical analysis theory, and they're all very happy. But we train full-time traders. They have been in the business for years. All right. It's what, they will ask, they'll tell me, "Hey, Robin, all these craps. All right. Please keep to yourself. Tell me what works, what doesn't." All right. So I had to be, to be able to stand in front of these full-time traders because they themselves are professionals. So I was like, so that's how I got very popular, right? Because the words get around and I was trading, hey, this guy is different. He's trading full-time traders, professional full-time traders in all the various broking houses. Yeah. So that's how I got, popular. And then people just come by word of mouth. Yeah.
So, okay, then maybe let's kind of talk about today, about trading, right? How do you then trade the markets today? Is this still syndicated stocks that you're looking for, or has your trading approach changed?
Okay, so the thing is, local boy here, all right? So I started my trading and I made my fortune in the Singapore stock market. So, the unfortunate thing is that I have always focused on Singapore stock market. And then a couple of years back, I started moving into the Hong Kong stock market because Singapore market is too quiet. There's no liquidity. You can't make a living out of it. All right. So I started moving to Hong Kong market. All right. Hong Kong market, it boomed for a couple of years and then it collapsed. Right. So, but because the US markets, right, they are outside of the Asia trading hours, which means they operate when I'm sleeping. The US markets, right? US market today, they start at 10:30 and finish out at 5 a.m. So I cannot take that. So you cannot trade there. So there's only two markets that's open for my trading, Singapore and Hong Kong. So I love Hong Kong market because it has got volatility. Okay, so I started moving to Hong Kong. So I traded a while with, very heavy volumes. I trade Hong Kong, Singapore. But Singapore market was like, I was like winning off already, because I don't think it's very easy to make money, because the prices just don't move, right? How do you trade something that don't move, right? So, and then a lot of my friends are already quitting, right? People with me for like 20, 30 years, professional traders, they also like given up. Yeah. And yeah, so I started moving to Hong Kong. And then, yeah, I got like quite a huge following of people that have been faithful with following me for many, many years, 20, 30 years. All right. And they also follow me to Hong Kong for trading. Yeah. And so now I have I have a chat group that every day we talk about trading Hong Kong stocks, Hong Kong index. Yeah, live. I tell them when I buy, when I sell. This is where I buy, where I sell, that kind of thing.
Do you still look for like those syndicated Hong Kong stocks, or is just the
No.
indices?
So now I don't look for syndicates, the stocks anymore. I don't. All right. I don't. But the strategy that I use to look for syndicated stocks still applies today. All right. It still works very well today.
Okay, nice. And maybe just another one or two more questions on trading before we move on to the next section, right? So I think on dollars and cents, right? I think you featured there. Then it stated that you predicted the last 3 market crashes. So my question here is, what are the things that you look for, right, that alert you that hey, the market is about to crash?
Okay, so I'm a guy that I always tell people I'm a dinosaur veteran in the market. All right. A lot of my friends who are traders, right, when they all either retired, bankrupt, or I retired very rich. They're all gone lah. They're all gone. So I'm one of those people that's still hanging out in like those olden days when you're using telephone line to call broker type. So I live in those age, and then I transited all the way. Basically, I transited from watching the market. So my job is like every day, 8:00, I will close up in my office, right, with my 7 screens, all right, and then I will look for stocks to trade and syndicate the stocks in those days, all right, and look for volatile stocks. So that's my job, right? Every day, trade the indices, particularly in the Asia hour, I trade the Hong Kong index, right? So I trade the Hong Kong index, I trade the Singapore stocks, I trade the Hong Kong stocks. So every day I just glue myself to the screen. Select a few stocks, watch it, time to buy and sell. So,
what period are we talking about? This.
So this is so we're talking about like starting from like maybe 2015. Okay. Yeah, for many years I was doing that. Right. So staring, always, just gluing to the screen, my job every day, trading.
Looking for syndicated stocks in Singapore and Hong Kong markets.
Yeah. Just not only syndicated stocks, just any stocks that moves. All right. Any stock that moves and has trading opportunity, I will trade them. So that's how I make a living there, for many years. And then when I got older, I decided that that's not the way to go anymore. I don't have time. Time is just too precious. I need to prioritize those times. Right? It's too precious for me to be staring at a screen from day to night. So I started. So 8 years ago, I already knew that I cannot do this forever. Right? I cannot do this forever. Not that it's not profitable, but it's just time consuming. And when you get older, you need to prioritize your time. Right? It cannot be business as usual, especially after I got my cancer. Right? After I got my cancer, it's a wake-up call for me. All right, not to take things for granted. Don't waste unnecessary time. All right, so I need to prioritize my time, and therefore, 8 years ago already, I started to go into algo trading. So I employ a couple of fellas, right, to do programmers. And some mathematicians, they help me build my algos. Okay, I even invested. So how I started with, I knew algo was the right way to go. All right, automated trading. That means you just leave your portfolio to the algos. You don't want to touch the screen anymore. Right, you don't want to hit the buy and sell button on your own. Everything is on the algos. So I believe in that because 80% of the trading today are all in US, all done by algos, by robots. So it must be that way. All right? You cannot beat the robots. So I started to build robots. But then came along one, there's a prop trader, I cannot mention his name, but he was in Philips. He came to me and said, Robin, with your reputation, all right, and his aspiration, he said he wanted to build an algo market. It's like starting like a venture cap. All right. So he wants to start a company. So he recruited like 10 people, about 6, 7 full-time staff. All right, programmers and traders. And then we started raising funds. So I helped him raise $3 million with my own money. So we put in there my friend's money, my money, everybody go. So we raised about $3 million. Okay, and this guy scammed all of us. So it was a very bad start to my algo. All right. So if you have been following my news, and you know which company, all right. But so it's not good to mention the company, but we also got scammed. All right. And in that process, I also lost a lot of friends because they all think I was a co-host, all right, to scam them. So I lost a lot of money. All right. So I lost quite a bit of money there. That was a setback. But I never give up. I believe that's the way to go. So I started hiring my own people, hiring my own programmers to do algos. And for many years, there was no success. All right. And then I had my cancer. My cancer came. And my cancer came, the people that were under me to do the algo, the company, has been disbanded because I didn't even know whether it's going to be alive. So I disbanded the company, and all those people that used to work for me left. All right. And then when I came back from cancer, I knew that time is very precious. I need to prioritize them. So, but I still love trading. And I wanted to make a difference in trading. I wanted to be significant in the trading world. All right. And I thought, so my dream is that nobody needs to work. One day, nobody needs to work. If you have a good algo, nobody needs to work. Everybody just depend on the algo. Right? And my dream is to help a common man on the street to make $100 extra or $200 extra a month. All right, with very little money. All right. So today, invest in stock market, right? A lot of stocks are like a few $100,000. You can hardly buy anything, even if you have like $10,000-$20,000 hardly. So I want to create a system where you don't need to have a lot of money. All right, you have very little money, and if every day the algos, like every month, the algo can contribute like $100 to $200 to a man on the street, it's very good. So that's my objective of doing this. All right. So I carried on to be working. So I have my own my team. So I have a team overseas because when I employed full-time programmers in Singapore, it's too expensive. All right. It cost me like maybe like $10,000 or $1,000 a month just to run these things. All right. So I started getting labels from overseas. Yeah. And it's doing very well. All right. So I think, the algos, so I'm using the algos now to trade my own money now. I don't stare at the screen anymore. That's why I'm talking to you now. In those days, I wouldn't have time to even talk to you now. The market is active trading. I cannot be talking to you now. It's trading hours. Yeah. But now everything I leave it to the algos, no problem.
Nice. Very happy to hear that.
Yeah.
And okay, yeah. And just one last question. So yeah, maybe when market is about to crash, right, what do you look for before, if you think the market is going to crash?
Okay. So you can follow my trades, right? And my outlook, my trades on my Facebook. You can follow it on my Telegram group. So I have like 2 groups where you can go in and know what I'm doing. So all the things that I predicted, all right, they are in the public. It's public consumption, all right? It's in the news. All right, you can find it. So you still can go back today and see those predictions. So those predictions are, it's not that after the market crashed, then I go back and say, see, the market crashed, So it's always before, all right? Because I cannot get the exact time. I'm normally about 1-2 months early, all right? So you can see all my forecasts. I'm 1-2 months early before the crash. Okay, so what do you look for in the crash? All right, so here maybe is something that if for people who are listening to this program, maybe they can benefit, right? So after so many years of trading, right? Let me just put everything in a nutshell, all right? So what is successful trading? How can you be accurate, or how can you forecast a price action like a crash before it happens? That kind of thing, right? So the market is like that. So there are only two things, all right? So you are a good trader, the market, either you trade the trends, it either trends upward, downward, or sideways, right? Okay. So the question is always, when the market trends upward, like the US market now, so when will it peak? Correct? So everything has, nothing can go up forever. Nothing can go down forever. So the question is, when will it peak? Okay. So if you look at the charts and your technical, so when I look at like all these technicals, right? Charting, like making a trade plan and to tell you where the market peaks. I always use a multi-year chart. All right. It's like how I predicted the 2008 crash was from a chart in the 1990s. Right? From the price action, the trends in the 1990s projecting to today. So you need to understand that that the markets, right, moves in trends. And if you are trading short term, then the macro trends, you don't have to look at the macro trend because you're just trading day by day, right? But you're talking about like macro tops, macro peaks, macro bottoms, right? You need to have you need to find I will always, in my classes, I call them prevailing trends. So what is the trend that is prevailing? All right. You may not be able to find those trends in the last couple of months, but if you look back for multi-year, the chart gives you a clue. It gives you a clue. It tells you where the prevailing trend is. Okay. And when you find the prevailing trends, you will know how to apply the prevailing trend many years ago to today. All right, and then you have a macro trade plan. So I've drawn in the last 3 crashes, right? I've drawn all that trends. It was no secret. I've drawn all the trends. I presented all the trends in my Facebooks, in my Telegram groups. All right, I presented all of them before the crash. Right. So the thing about the market is like that. Right. In order to be able to tell when the market tops, you need to understand the macro picture, macro technical picture. Right, where the market is heading, what trend is. So if you get a trend wrong, then that's it. Shocking bad luck. You won't find the trend. You won't find the prevailing, the peaks. You won't know the peaks. So that's big picture. All right, that's big picture. And then for people listening to this channel, for trading, like I said, the market only moves either in trends or it consolidate. So how to see the market top and bottom is, for example, right, if you use regression lines, I think you should understand what's a regression line. Regression lines, you use channels, you use regression line. So those are the things that will tell you roughly where the market will top out. All right. So you only want to short the market when it is at the top of the channel. You look for short signal. So that's what my robots are trained to do. They don't look for long and short all over the shop. They only look for long and short at the critical juncture. So, like for example, where do I look for a short? All right. So if I have channels, okay, I'll tell the robots, you only look at shorts when the prices are right on top of the channels, which means there's a good chance they may be turning down. So today, if you look at a lot of US stocks, they are all right on top of the Bollinger Bands, upper end of the Bollinger Band. They're all there, upper end, which makes it very dangerous. Where all the stocks are congregating at the upper end of Bollinger channels, right? So the chances is that it may come down more than go up because they are all at the upper band of Bollinger channels. So my robots are now trained to do that, right? So we only look for shorts when the market is at the top of some mean reversion, at the top of some Bollinger Bands, on the top of some channel lines. Yeah, only no short, no long, just shorts. Then at the bottom, they look for longs. All right. So you must, so for a good, for to be a successful trader, you must know when to buy, when to sell, when only to buy, when only to sell. You cannot buy and sell all the time. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's, I think, very, cover quite a lot of perspective about trading. But now let's kind of like move on to another section and maybe talk about, I think cancer, which is something that, you actually mentioned briefly.
Yeah.
So I think, maybe people who are listening, they have loved ones, friends, or maybe they themselves, have encountered with it. So maybe just want to hear your perspective of, what you went through. So I think it was a few years back, right? You've learned that you had cancer. So what are some of the thoughts that went through your mind, right, when you heard of?
Okay, so I got cancer in I was diagnosed for cancer, and to be specific, it's lymphoma, and that specific name for the lymphoma is called mantle cells. Right? It's a very rare cancer. Okay, and I asked the doctor, how did I get this cancer? My family, nobody had got cancer before. I have no history of family history of cancer before. And then the doctor said that this cancer that you have, right, is environmental. It is not genetics. Okay, so for you guys listening in, all right, some cancers like the one I have is your lifestyle. All right, so you have to be careful with your lifestyle. So now you got to look back and see, what you've done in the past. You shouldn't be doing now because the cancer will come back, right? So anyway, year 2020, August, 2021 August, right? I was diagnosed with this cancer. And when I first diagnosed with the cancer, of course, when the doctor tells you that there's hope, it's something curable, you are not so anxious. But mine happened to be not curable. So after today, it's not curable, right? So it's something that has been suppressed with the chemotherapies, but it'll come back again. So cancer is like that, right? So it's a very dreadful disease. Okay, and if you get it, you don't know whether you're going to be alive until you finish your treatment. So for people who respond to the treatment, particularly the chemotherapy in cancer, you have a second chance to live. Okay, but for people who don't respond, that's where the problem starts, right? Because there's no other known cure of cancer. So people who don't respond to chemotherapy, they're just waiting to die because there's no other cure. And there's nothing the doctor can do because it doesn't respond to chemotherapy anymore or the cancer treatment that is available. All right? So, but also cancer is like, it's like when you get a cancer, or all cancer patient will tell you that cancer, after you get cancer, although you're like me, I'm in remission, because, I don't have any tumors in me, but it's hiding somewhere. The cancer cells are hiding somewhere. It's going to surface again. That's what the doctors say. It's going to come back and it's going to haunt you again, right? So what it means is that when in most cancer patients, like me, it's not curable, but it's just being suppressed. It's like somebody pointing a gun at you all the time. So today I live with that kind of thoughts. Okay, that this gun that's pointing at me, and anytime, all right, it's going to trigger. when it triggers, right, I'll be gone very soon. So I've seen a lot of cancer patients after relapse, in hospital, and they die very fast. I just met a friend of mine. I just speaking to her, 2 months ago. She was like very healthy, running around, and then she got relapsed. In 2 months, she's gone. So it's a disease that can take you away very quickly. All right. Yeah. So I'm very happy to be alive. In fact, I think it's a miracle that I'm alive today and talking to you. And so with this chance to live again, I am determined not to waste it. I'm determined, not to be ungrateful, because it is God that has given me this chance to live. Right? So after I got cancer, I decided that, I got to prioritize my time, because my time may not be long. Right? So I asked, so I'm I'm a Christian, right? And I always believe that, we are part of a destiny that God has planned for us. So the cancer was part of my destiny, right? And everything works for a purpose. So this cancer has a purpose. So after I've gone through that cancer, I knew that it has a purpose in my life. And what was the message? What was the purpose? So I asked God, what was the purpose? And he said that, I think the purpose was that, if you read the Bible many times, when his people move away from him, all right, he'll pull them back, all right, and to teach them a lesson. So I was like very far away from God, although I'm a Christian for many years, very far away from God. And cancer brought me closer to him. So I was on the deathbed, not knowing whether I'll be alive. But I was with him all the time. So it was like I was looking in the room with him. All right. And then I asked, what's the plan for me? All right. I won't have long to live. What's the plan? So if you Google mental cells, most people only have like 5 to 10 years to live. After their remission, right? They have only 5 to 10 years to live. So I know that my time is short. So the question is, what do you do? What do you do? So one thing, right, that, what's the first thing that when I got home and I got, after my remission, what was the first thing that I got my house in order? Everybody buy insurance. My kids, everywhere. Those that don't insure, everybody buy insurance. Right? I was lucky because, my treatment, if I didn't have insurance, would have come to at least $500,000. At least. One jab of the chemo now is 5,000. One jab, 5,000. Where do you find the money? All right. So, and this jab will go on for 3 years, another 3 years. All right. Every 2 months, I get a jab, 5,000, 2 months.
Even till today.
Yeah, until today, for another 3 years. It's to suppress and make sure the cancer doesn't come back. All right. So that is like, yeah. So, why am I telling all this, right? I go back and I tell everyone, I was very fortunate, all right, that I decided 20 years ago to buy the best insurance policy. Mine was a premium insurance policy, right? So 20 years ago, I was like paying $3,400 a year. It's a lot of money. Somebody is, $3,400 a year, it's 20 years ago, it's a lot. I was buying the premium, so it covers everything. So I don't have to pay like a lot of money today, all right, in my treatment. But because of one investment plan I did correctly, all right. So now, the question is, I come to a stage where I have to do a new investment plan, all right? Because if your time is limited, now everything that you strive on this earth, your material things, your house, your cars, you cannot bring them along. All right? After you die, you realize that these are not important anymore to you, right? So what do? So now you think, that So one of my worst fear, right? One of my worst fear is that when I'm finally gone, when I close my eyes, when I open my eyes again, all right, which world will I see? Is it going to be, I'm going to open my eyes to, to some devils, or will open eyes to paradise, all right, where I see God, So that was my worst fear. So I said, okay, it's time that I invest in eternity. So now I go around telling people that, don't wait until, for me, I'm given a second chance. Don't wait, all right? It's time to think about something that people don't think about. All right, because today it's in the digital world. People got Netflix, got YouTube. They're so occupied. They never think, well, what is afterlife? But I'm very certain that this life, all right, is a test for what we're going to do in the next life. What we will be in the next life. This life is a test, and this life is very short. It's going to go in no time. All right, but the life after is eternity. And therefore, the life after is something that we need to invest. So I go around now telling people to start investing in eternity. All right? Start investing in eternity. So we got to think about. So I don't want to get too religious on your channels, but start investing. Think about eternity, like how I did a very good investment in insurance. Yeah. So, and I believe that there is. So I always tell my children 3 things in life. All right. So always ask 3 questions, and then you will know whether you are living life correctly. First question: where do you come from? You came from some evolution theories. All right. Or are you created by God? All right. What's your purpose in life? Do you know what's your purpose in life? The third thing is, where will you die when you go? Where will you go when you die? You got to answer these 3 questions, right? And so many of us today don't know what is our purpose in our life. That's very important. You need to know what is the purpose. So I need to know now what is the purpose for God giving me a second chance to live. All right. So 1 is now okay. So now I'm doing a cancer ministry on your channel. Right? Anybody have cancer are here, right? And so I do cancer counseling. All right. Like your dad, right? Your dad. When I knew that your dad had cancer, I said I offered to to bring him to some herbalist. Yeah. So I wanted to give them people with no hope. That means I always encourage people to finish your chemotherapies. All right. Until there's no hope. All right. Like the doctor say, there's no cure. All right. So I minister to this group of people. So today, I do a lot of research into like herbs that, cures cancer. So my cancer was like, the doctor said it'll come back very soon, but so far when I'm taking all these herbs, it hasn't come back yet. So I know something is working. Okay. So and my Sifu, who is a herbalist, I see him cure a lot of cancer patients. So I always tell people, hope, right? Don't trust the doctor who tells you there's no hope. There is hope. As long as you're alive, there is hope. Okay, but what's important is, I think, it's So I do this ministry, right? The cancer ministry, and the reason why I believe God has put this cancer in me is to be helping this group of people that are hopeless. All right. So I tell them there's hope. I bring them plants. I bring them the herbs. I visit them. Some of them I also even bring them to hospital. All right, in the regular checkups and all that. Yeah. So that's one thing. So the other thing that I think that I want to do is before I die is to what I told you, right? I want to help a common man on the street to be, to not worry about, who has got a problem feeding the family, making ends meet, putting bread on the table, having a roof on top of their head. I hope I can create algos to help everyone do that. All right. So that's the 2 things. And I think the last thing I want to say is that, so the question is, why is it that we all have to die? Why is it that human beings cannot live forever? Why is it that every human beings have disease at some point of time? Something is not right. Right? And what the Bible tells us is that the reason why people have to die is because they have sin in their heart. It's like you don't have a cancer, sin, right? So you're born bad. Your DNA is bad. And because you're bad, everybody needs to die. Because you're bad, right? There's a real cancer in you, and that's a sin. So our diseases and things that happen to us, that we all have to die, right, tells us that something is not right. That's why I have to die. If all of us are perfect, we don't have to die. Our body can live forever and ever like the angels and the gods. Right? But because of, you heard, I want to go to the story of Adam and Eve and all that, right? Because the first man brought sin to the world, and we all the descendant of the first man, so we all bad people. Okay. So we need to be safe from this. All right. And so there's a man that gave his life for all of us. His name is Jesus Christ. He paid for you, right? It's like you have a debt you cannot pay, right? This man came and he said, "I pay for you. I bring you out of jail. You are death sentence. Now I pay for you." So a lot of people ask me. So there's a lot of these cancer patients, right? So recently I spoke to a Taoist, also a cancer patient, and then I talked to her about, my beliefs, and she said, "Robin, I'm a very staunch Taoist. What makes your religion different from mine?" And I said this. I said that the reason why, all right, this is different is because in most religion, men want to work their way to heaven. Do the good things. All right? Be a monk. Okay? Don't see the bad things. Don't do the good things. Stay away from all the evil things in the world. Try to do as much as possible to please the God, so one day you can go to heaven. But somehow this religion in Christianity is different. It tells us all of us cannot be saved unless God reach out to you. So you cannot reach out to him. Only he can reach out to you. And so there's a song called Amazing Grace, right? So this song Amazing Grace is about, God telling you, no matter what you do, right? No matter how much right you do, how much good you do, you cannot work yourself to heaven. Only when I come and stretch my hand and grab yours and save you from eternal hell, I pull you out of it. I pay for you, your sin, and then you become justified. You're paid, your sin is paid, you're justified, you are now you are different. And then you're safe. All right. So that's the difference. Is that you cannot, most religion or all the religion in the world, all right, will want to do good so that they can have a good place in heaven, but you never make it. You need the guy on top to come down, not you go there. All right. So that's what Jesus did, right? When he came on the earth, right? He came, all right, from heavens. He gave up everything in heavens, and he came down to be a man so that he can die, to be a sacrifice, permanent sacrifice for all of us, so that through his death, we all can be made alive. So I told that lady, the Taoist, and I tell you what happens, right? So then she asked me, how can I be alive again? She said, Robin, I'm going to die. How am I going to be alive again? I said, you are going to be alive again because the person you believe in also became alive. When Jesus died, he was like buried in the cave. He rose. After a couple of days, he rose. From his dead, he rose. And, next week, it's Good Friday. Yeah, so the meaning of Good Friday is that, Jesus died and he's going to rise again. Yeah, so that's the difference. Yeah, and that that lady that I spoke to, you know what she did? She already ordered all her Taoist funeral, everything, her robes, the Taoist priest, Taoist temple, her funeral, and Taoist. She changed everything. She understood the message. When I went to her funeral after 2 months, I was shocked to see that she was buried. All her funeral was all took place in the Christian church. Yeah, and her son told me, my mother understood the message that you told her. And she just uprooted everything. All her funeral plans uprooted. So I was very happy. So I'm doing 2 things now. All right. So I'm just administering to cancer patients. So if you are a cancer patient and you are listening to this program, please feel free to reach out to me. I've gone through this journey. All right. I know the anxieties, the depression that you go through, and many times you're lost. But there's hope. Count it for me, I'll tell you where the hope lies. Whether you can try some of the. Okay, so there are some kind souls that actually help me. So because I put it, so I put my I told people I had cancer on my Facebook, and this kind soul came and said that my father got killed by these herbs. You want to try it? So I tried, and so far it's been working well. Yeah, so you have to try it. Don't give up hope. Okay, Remer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what you shared is, especially the cancer part, is something that, because my dad, I think for those listening, he has as well. So it can be a very dark place, especially when he was straight away diagnosed as not stage 1, straight stage 4. So, in the moment, right, the face, right, like all hope is lost, right? Then go to chemo, very anxious. And we don't really have any people around us who knows what to expect. I mean, doctor can say one thing, but what if other people who went through, what is it like? Doctor cannot explain to you how is it like, because they've never been through themselves. So after, I introduced him to you, then he definitely, like, he knows that he's not alone on this journey. Then plus the herbologist that you introduced is taking it right now. And right now everything seems under control. So I know it can be a very dark place, and what you're doing, right, having this ministry where people that have really lost hope come together and, find hope, right, find purpose, right, and having the will to carry on is very meaningful, what you're doing. So thank you for that, yeah. And I'm not saying this is just because I know you're doing this, because my dad actually, I introduced my dad to Robin. So it's really coming from my own experiences as well, because Robin really did help us during that difficult stage. So yeah, before we close, Robin, maybe just also like to hear maybe, like, because when my dad first got cancer, right, it's bloody overwhelming. Right? Me as a son, what I do is, I go to the internet, see what people are doing to fight cancer. You come a lot of information. Try the keto diet, try this, try that. And I think for anybody listening now who have relatives going through the same thing, they probably do something similar, or information overload.
Yeah.
How do you navigate this landscape? Doctors say one thing, but online say another thing. So what would you be, what would you say to them, right, if someone who kind of feel stuck in this position at this stage?
Okay, so the first thing is this, right? First thing is, don't give up hope. As long as you're breathing, don't give up hope. There is something out there, right? And so the guy that shared with me these herbs that I was taking, right? So his father was a life testimony. His father was given 4 months to live, and he took the herbs, and that herbs was like, just all he needs. It just cured him completely. So for me, I always believe in life testimony, because there's so many things out there. I go to CCM, he charged me $8,000 because I'm going to die. He had one visit, $8,000. And the things that he gave me, I don't even know what is inside there. All right. But if you do your own research, okay, I'm sure there's hope out there. Right. But first thing to do is to make sure you exhaust the chemotherapy part or the Western medicine part. All right. And if it really cannot help, then you need to find alternative cure. Don't sit and wait for your time to come. Okay, that's why I tell all the cancer patients. All right, if the Western medicine tells you no hope, don't sit for your time to come. I just spoke to one of my neighbors. The doctor said he only got 5 months. I said, hello, you got 5 months. But don't sit in your room in that dark closet and wait for your time to come. And he was saying that, he was telling me that he was able to walk, but now he's getting weaker and weaker. I said, you're still able to walk. Come with me. We go and look for cures. All right. Even if it doesn't cure a disease, it cures your mind. All right. Because you know that there is now a possibility. All right. So first, don't give up. Don't wait to die. Okay. Reach out to people who can help you, whatever. So you have, like you said before, if you look at the internet, there's so many things, so many options. Everybody thinks they get a cure. All right. But for me, I only trust people. I only trust life testimony. And I only trust scientific proofs. All right. So the herbs that I have, I grow. I've seen some scientific evidence, that some of this thing works. So, I don't guarantee it works for everybody. I'm not a physician. I just believe in people that have gone through their journey. So, doctors are very important, but doctors go through a standard protocol. When they exhaust the protocol, and that's it. All right. But what's important is to hear from people who were dying and they lived. How they managed to do that. That's I think the most important. Yeah. And that's why, I love to be on the cancer chat group, listening to people who have gone through that journey, how they overcome it. All right. And the most important thing, like I said, is have a peace of mind. Don't worry. All right. If you are going to paradise, the Bible says to die is gain. To die is gain if you are going to paradise. So remember that, right? You're going to a better place. Even if you have to die, you're going to a better place.
I love it, right?
Okay.
You're so positive, right? Despite fighting cancer. And you can just see right through Robin's face how uplifted and bright he is right now. So, okay, so just a couple of more questions. Maybe just now we kind of do a segue and maybe talk about marriage. Right? You've been married. How long have you been married, Robin?
So I've been married for 27 years.
Long time. And so from what I've seen, I met your wife, right? I think previously, and then you two seem to have a very healthy relationship, marriage, right? So maybe could you share, a few things that you guys do that led to this happy marriage that you have had so far?
Well, so I think there are three important things, all right, in life. So I'm lucky to be where I am. So a lot of people don't make it even. So I'm happy. Even if I have to die now, I know a lot of people don't make it to my age. And the reason why I know it is because I've been staying in the cancer ward for a long time, right? For the past 1 year, I've been in and out of cancer ward. Every time I go in, I see not only young people die, the old people die. So that's in another side of the real world. All right. So the thing about life, all right, is that so let me just share with you what the Bible talks about life. All right. And so the Bible says, right, when God created, after God created the world, he created human beings. And the first human being he created is Adam. So after he created Adam, he told Adam, it's too good for you to be alone. All right. Let me create a woman for you. So he created a woman, and it's called Eve. And then three of them, right? They're all living very peacefully, and they can live forever in the Garden of Eden. So God put them in Eden, and God walked with them. So it's like 3% in the garden. God, Adam, and Eve. So you know that the real happiness, right, is when you have these three people around you. Your family, your God, and yourself. That is real happiness. Can you remember how the word looked like? The Chinese character called Fu? Okay, so I think a lot of people know this Chinese character, Fu, right? Chinese New Year Fu. Fu is got a 神字旁，神字旁，一口 one 一口一田神字旁。So even in the Chinese word, right? The Chinese word tell you, right? The real prosperity, right, is when you have got one man in the garden, 一口一田. So that is real prosperity if you can find your creator. All right. So God on earth, God give you a partner. to be a life partner, all right? But one day, all right, your life partner may not wrong, or you can go first, but you will go first. Like me, I probably, will die ahead of my spouse, right? So it's important to in life, right, to have I always have try to be, we all come from we are two imperfect people. Human beings are, when they're married, right, they are two imperfect people. And for two imperfect people to come together, right, you need to, understand one another, give and take. If not, your marriage is going to be on the rocks, right? So, I wouldn't say our relationship is like smooth sailing, all right? But, we know we are imperfect people and we need to, be able to accommodate one another, right? Yeah. So that's what I think, and my wife knows that, that we just, need to give and take. And particularly at my age now, my kids are all grown up, one of them married. And you all know that it's very important to be nice to your wife, because one day all the kids will be gone.
Yeah.
And when the kids is gone, you only face with your wife. Okay? So if you cannot talk to your wife, there's nobody else to talk to. Okay? Except God. Okay? Yeah, you cannot, there's nobody to talk to, really. I mean, I have this experience. All of a sudden, when, especially you, right? You are a young family. I see your kids. I see your, a pretty wife, your kids and all that. So at this age, right, life will pass through like a lightning. You won't even see it because you're always revolving around the kids and making a living. All right? By the time the children grow up and they leave and you face an empty nest, and then you look at your wife look at you, and we say, hey, have we just met? We haven't spoken for a long time. And then he cannot speak to your wife. That's why a lot of marriages breaks up after that. After the children grown up, they say, hey, I'm facing a stranger. I've never spoken to you before. That kind of thing. Because they all the time, they're just talking about children, just household thing, making a living. So that's how life in this, everyone goes through that phase of life. So it's important to be treating your wife nice, be going out with her occasionally. Like Valentine's Day just passed, don't save on the flowers. Okay, so yeah, that's my advice, right? Yeah, remember the word "fool," very important. All right. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the closing section. Just a few more questions before I let you go. So what does your daily routine look like now? Since I think you shared that previously you're in front of the monitor 10, 12 hours a day. Now you had cancer, you're doing well, right? Touch wood, right? So how's your daily routine like?
Okay, so I wake up in the morning. I still have a large following. I mean, people that have been following me for so long, I cannot just leave them alone. They still depend a lot on me, all right, for trading ideas, all right, on Singapore market, Hong Kong market, big picture, when the market is topping out, that kind of thing, all right? So I still have a big following of people that follow me, and I still want to be serving them, all right? So technically, they are like part of my clients. So I wake up, and especially the first part of the morning, because the markets, right, after the first part, all the activities, the second part is always very quiet.
You're referring to the Singapore
and the Hang Seng market. Because in the daytime, it's only Singapore Hang Seng and the US futures. All right, three things you look at. Singapore market, I look at Singapore market, Hong Kong market, and US futures. So in the morning, most things would have wrapped up. So afternoon until the US market open is like kind of quiet already. So you can rest. All right. So in those days, I'm very intense. All right. Maybe that's part of the cancer, why my cancer came, right? Part of the cause. I'm not sure. But I was always very intense because I was playing my own money. All right. So when I lose money, I get very upset, that kind of thing, right? So So in those days, I'm like 7-Eleven, watching the market minute by minute, and I go home at 11 o'clock. I trade at 11 o'clock every day for years. All right, but so now I said, okay, no more. All right. So a lot of my trades are those short-term trades are on the robots. Long-term trades, because I can hold them. So it's not time sensitive. I don't look at them every day, no problem. All right. I look at them maybe like end of the day, once a week. No problem. So I like sort of, free my time to do the ministry that I'm doing now. Yeah. So that's one. So that's how. And then I used to go to office, but now I work from home. And when I work from home, I can spend more time with my wife. Yeah. So in those days, I seldom spend time with very little. So now I work from home, I spend more time with her. So I think that's for me. Also preparing to go lah. So the few things I need to do before I can call it a day here. So I hope that if I spend more time with her, when I finally go, she won't miss me so much.
Sure. So what are some of the things you do with her? Now that I can imagine that your kids are all grown up, you all won't be talking much about the kids. So what are some of the common things that you all still brings the both of you together?
Okay, so the common thing that bring all together, if you have kids, right, still revolves around the kids, their girlfriend, their wives, what to cook for them when they come back to weekends. Right? So what we want is always, I follow what my mother does. My mother, the way she keeps the family together is fantastic. She knows that there's only one skill, one thing she needs to do to keep the family together is to cook. So we follow the tradition. My mom's tradition is to keep the family together. Every weekend, everybody comes home to eat. To cook. So now me and wife in the weekday, we have to think of what to eat for the kids. And when they come back, so that you make the house a warm place for everyone to come back to have a feast. Nobody will come back, right? So, they come back, they have to eat, right? So no choice. So eating is the best bonding. All right. So we think about how, how to host the kids when they come back. Those who are married already, how to come back, get the family together, and also the extended family, right? How we can once in a while, my extended family, my sisters, my brothers come back. How do we organize parties for them? So just keeping. It's so important to be keeping the family together, because one day you're in trouble like me, right? Well, on my cancer, right? You really need support, people to support you, and that you need a family to be around to support you. Yeah. So besides that is that normal routine. Like I said, Valentine's Day is every day, right? It's just not one day. Okay, so everywhere I go, I'll bring her. Most places that I go, I would say everywhere. So I spend a lot of time playing tennis. Every week I play about 6 hours tennis. And that's something that keeps me alive. The sports that keeps me alive.
Do you play with her or with other friends?
Yeah, I mean all my old kakis in my condominium in the place I stay. So I play with them. Yeah, and that's something that keeps me alive also. Yeah, I thank God for that. The sports. If not, I don't know what to do with my time. So.
Okay, just one last question, right? So imagine, you can, see your 20-year-old self in front of you today, right? What lessons would you want to share? What advice would you give to him?
Okay, so if I'm 20 years younger, just like you're saying.
Not 20 years, but maybe you're 20 years old.
You're 20 years old.
But 20-year-old version of you in front of you. Yeah.
Correct. So now I look back. All right. So when I had cancer, right, it was like almost every day I'm living in pain. The needles poking to you. You have to sit there for hours to do the chemotherapy. Then you've got to cut some parts of your body out. Tumors and all that, operations, scopes, all sort of procedures, right? So almost every day you're in pain. You get cancer. So after cancer, right? During my cancer, I only pray for every day. I pray, oh God, please give me one day with no pain. When I have no pain one day, it's like, boy, it's a luxury. When I have no pain for one day, it's a luxury. Yeah. So, and you're so now when I had cancer, I was in hospital bed, right? Okay. now they're going to die. Like I was in the final days already. Like I don't know when I'm going to die, but I just always assume the worst case scenario that this whole thing didn't work and I'm going to die, right? So in my dreams, I always, before I go to sleep, right, I always like, because I'm in so much pain, I just want a good dream. I enjoy it. I mean, something. So the good dreams is always, so I dream a lot, right? And at my age now, at your deathbed, you look back and you say that if you have to live all over again, what are things that you do all over again? All right. Okay. So the things that I'll do the two things that really captivates me in my life, very precious moments, the kind of thing, right? My courtship.
Courtship.
Yeah, courtship. You know, I never forget, those days. Of course, my first girlfriend was not my wife. But we were childhood girlfriends. Childhood, like from secondary schools. We knew one another for many years. Yeah, but it didn't work out. Right? But, and then the courtships were really exciting. All right? Because that's where you begin to find a partner. So that is something that, when I live again, many courtships. It makes me really happy and keeps me going a lot because work in the Navy is very boring. So every time when I'm out in the boats, the first thing I want, for every man, you need hope. You need to look forward to something. All right. So what I look forward when I was young is to see my girlfriend. Every time the ships, after a few days sailing, come back, the first day I go is to look for my girlfriend. So that was my motivation, right, to keep me alive then. Right. So after that, it was family, it was kids. So I always tell people, right, that, whatever you do, right, don't think about hardship. Don't think whether you can afford kids or not. Have kids because they are blessings. You will know. So second thing, my 3 kids, right, that I have, right, when I look back, I felt that, I wish, thank God I'm not single. I've gone through that experience. That was a great experience also for me to bring them up, right? So you can bring your kids up and they can be a blessing to many people. So kids, it's just a risk, right? So you bring up your kids, one day they become monsters, like those young men that cheated me. They are monsters. So if I'm their father, right, I will be very, very sad. What do you do to people, right? So, but if you have kids that become a blessing to people, wow, boy, it's a great satisfaction. All right. So having kids is fantastic. All right. I give a good example, right? When I was doing before I do stem cell transplant, before I do the stem cell transplant, they have to take the stem cell out of my body. So on that day, right, when you take a stem cell out of the body, they put the tubes. So that's not normal tubes, right? So the big ones through your veins. On one side, the tube will take the blood out. On the other side, it will come out from there. And they will take the blood and they will filter the blood for stem cells. So they take the stem cells, the rest of the blood go back to your body, all right? So it goes that way. So that process takes about 6 hours. You sit on the bed, say, I cannot move, right? Because there's a tube inside your body. So lo and behold, I had a panic attack. And the panic attack, right? It's like I cannot pee on the bed. And because I cannot pee on the bed, right, it was like, boy, it's very painful and, I need to pee. If not, the bladder will burst. 6 hours. Can you imagine? And the doctor asked the nurse said, no, you cannot get up. Nobody gets up. You get up, the whole tube will burst in your blood vessels. And then you complicate things. You cannot do that. But I had a son there. My son was there. And he was strong enough to carry me up. You got to get up without bending your hands. Because you bend your hands, right, the tube pierces through your veins. So you cannot. So he was strong enough. The nurse was not strong enough. He was strong enough to carry me. That's where I knew that children can be a blessing at the right time. So I knew what I had, it was like, wow. It was great, that I had kids. Without kids, I wouldn't, probably be had panic attack. Probably my bladder would have burst. Yeah, so have kids. All right, have kids.
Wow. Okay. So, Robin, we have covered a lot of ground today. So, is there anything else that you want to add that I didn't ask you? Anything else you say?
Well, I just say that I just want to say that the Bible says that life is like a vapor. All right. Every day, right? I go to my garden. I look at the trees and the plants. They grow. And I tell myself that I don't want to be a plant. I don't want to be a tree. You just grow, and one day you will die. All right? So I want to be a plant with a fruit. With a fruit, not just a plant. Right? So you want to be like, so the purpose of living, right, is, be a blessing to as many people as possible. Don't do people harm. Be a blessing. And when you bless people, you will be blessed. And you will be rewarded. Yeah. So that's what I have to say. Live a good life.
And if people want to find and connect with you, where can they find you?
Well, you can go to Robin Ho Trading Community on the Facebook. You can find me. You can find me on the Facebook. You can connect with me on the Facebook. You can go to my blog, Robin Ho Smart Trade .com. All right. Whether it's for anything to do with trading. So I have only two things I can do well in my life: trading, and perhaps now one new added skill: cancer counseling.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Robin. I appreciate it.
I'm so glad to be on your channel. You're doing such a good thing. Yeah, interviewing people and hoping that a lot of people can benefit from these sessions. So you're doing yourself, you're doing a very good thing, and I wish you all the best in your channels.
Thank you, Robin.